Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Danielson. I'm the founder of Integrity for Maine. We are a nonpartisan advocacy group focused on state accountability, prosecutorial misconduct, and family court reform. About 2 years ago, I was contacted by a Washington, D.C. based organization to help an individual here in Ellsworth by the name of Vladek Filler. They were explaining to me that the prosecutor's office was doing terrible things and committing terrible crimes. So after I basically did some initial investigation, and I couldn't believe it myself, that the people who are supposed to protect the community was actually destroying the community. It did not make sense to me. So I started contacting different groups, different people, different victims, reading articles through the Bangor Daily and Ellsworth American. I was surprised at how they actually approached these different cases of misconduct. Nobody really talked about the misconduct. So I came up and watched some of the court cases, talked to a lot of victims. And my conclusion was everything they were saying was true. There are so many victims, people getting violated, families being destroyed, going on welfare, losing their businesses. It was astounding. I had heard, and if you look at the sign down here, I believe that's the sign, of an assistant district attorney by the name of Mary Kellett. She was the first ever in the history of Maine, first ever prosecutor to be disciplined by the Maine Supreme Court for misconduct. 7 counts of misconduct, including destroying evidence, telling police officers to destroy evidence that can prove the innocence of an individual. She has said there are many different cases. She even told police officers to disregard court orders. Now, this is a violation of our due process. This is a violation of our rights. This is something that's been going on here in Ellsworth for close to 30 years. I personally investigated about 100 different cases where they either destroyed evidence, purposely lied in court, had no evidence, or in some cases didn't even charge the individual because they were friends with the district attorney's office. Huge conflicts of interest. Most of the people that this DA's office targets are people who they feel are weak, who are not willing to stand up for themselves. They don't want to voice their opinions. Now, this is not just happening here in Ellsworth. This is happening all over the country. There was another case, another prosecutor in Sanford who basically committed the same acts as Mary Kellett. And unless you actually can file a bar complaint, nothing's going to be done. Some of the things that I've researched is, years ago, there was a man by the name of Roscoe Pound. This is back in the early 1900s. Roscoe Pound was the dean of Harvard Law. His theory was that because religion could no longer control the public, it was the legal system's duty, the legislators, to control the lives of citizens. He did not believe in the Constitution. He did not believe in inalienable rights. He believed in a Constitution that changes by the social agenda of the day. Now, this man wrote several books. He's considered one of the most cited legal minds of the 19th century, of the 20th century. Oddly enough, most of his writing was right before World War II. Back in 1936, for all of his work on what he called social engineering, basically the legal system being allowed to control the public, Nazi Germany gave him an award for his ability to control the public. His system, we are still seeing today. We see it every day in the court system. As soon as you walk through that door, that courtroom door, you have no rights. They want to get you, they want to prosecute you, they will find a way. In 1976, there was a Supreme Court case by the name of Imbler versus Packman. In this Supreme Court case, they stated that prosecutors have the right to basically do whatever they want. They are exempt, immune from civil suits. You cannot civilly sue a prosecutor. The only way to punish a prosecutor that has gone rogue is to file a bar complaint. Only one thing. It's the same system, it's the same lawyers who look over that bar complaint and throw it to the side. They regulate themselves. Is the mic working? Stop working? Yeah. Okay. Let's see if this is working. Okay. Thank you. It is said around the country, tens of thousands of individuals, mostly men, are wrongfully prosecuted every year. Every year. A lot of this is due to prosecutorial misconduct. Mary Kellett, her discipline by the Maine Supreme Court, for the 7 counts of misconduct, all she received was a 30-day suspended sentence as long as she did 6 hours of continuing education classes. They left her in power. She is still there prosecuting people. I also have evidence that they're continuing to do the same exact things. They did not learn their lesson. And that is a big problem here for this community, for Washington and Hancock County. Many of you have family members or even yourself been prosecuted by this district attorney's office, or know people who have been affected by this district attorney's office. They are committing crimes against the community. They are destroying your community. Under the Constitution, we all have a right to a fair trial. But you're not getting it. You're not getting that fair trial. You are convicted before you even walk through that door. Citizens have a right to face their accusers, a right to see the evidence presented before them. But prosecutors can withhold that evidence. The evidence that can prove your innocence, a lot of times, they make it disappear. And that's what's been happening here in this community. So basically what it's doing is they have their own agenda. They target individuals, they target the weak, they target the people who they think won't get them back. They won't stand up for themselves. You as a community need to fix the problems of your community. This is your home. This is where you live. When the three branches of government do you wrong and they don't fix the problem, it is the citizens' responsibility as the fourth branch of government to vote these people out. It's your duty to make an informed decision on this election. It is your duty to stand up for your community, because you're the only people who can do it. They've set it up to only protect themselves. Now, basically what this is called, this is basically tyranny. You need to stand up to tyranny. Many of you here are victims today. There's going to be many speakers who come up and talk about your rights, talk about what you can do for change, the best thing that you can do for change. I'd like to end this with a quote from Ayn Rand. And I'm going to read it to you. It's kind of long. The retaliatory use of force requires objective rules of evidence to establish that a crime has been committed and to prove who committed it, as well as objective rules to define punishments and enforcement procedures. Men who attempt to prosecute crimes without such rules are a lynch mob. If a society left the retaliatory use of force in the hands of the individual citizens, it would degenerate into mob rule, lynch law, and an endless series of bloody private feuds and vendettas. What you have here in this community is a lynch mob. They don't care who you are, if you have power, it'll all go away. If you know someone, it'll all go away. If you don't, you're as good as convicted. It is your duty to stand up for the community. It is your duty to work together as victims to advocate for change. Thank you.